What's up, Samurai Assassins? Fat Samurai Guy here, and welcome to another episode of The Movie Dojo, where we discuss martial arts cinema and action films. Today in the dojo, I'm going to review the film The Bodyguard. Here's a quick plot synopsis. In a small town bordering China, Russia, and North Korea, a retired bodyguard with early dementia makes friends with a young girl. But when she and her father disappear, he must recall long-abandoned skills to take down the mob and save her. Now, this is a spoiler-filled review, so if you guys are curious about the movie, go ahead and stop the video right now, go watch it, and come right back. Now, I'm gonna give you the good, I'm gonna give you the bad, and I'm gonna give you the badass. First up, the good. I like Sammo Hung's performance in this film. The guy barely speaks any full sentences. It's very subtle. Now, this is due to a tragic incident in his life where he takes his granddaughter to the park to play with her, and he takes his eye off of her just for a minute, and she disappears, and she's never heard from again. So ever since then, he pretty much kind of shuts down a lot of his emotions and pretty much keeps to himself. Later in life, Sammo Hung's character makes friends with a little girl by the name of Cherry Lee, whose father is played by Andy Lau, and Andy gives a pretty solid performance as a no-good, lying, cheating waste of space criminal. And for fans of old school like me, it was kind of fun seeing these little brief cameos of Yuen Wah, Yuen Biao, Choi Hark, and Karl Maka. And now for the bad. The film has its heart in the right place, and Sammo Hung tries to tell a touching story, but unfortunately the film's concept and ideas are just not executed well and end up falling really flat. Even the tone of the film felt off a few times. Like, is this a violent adult picture or is this some Disney movie? The storytelling just felt sloppy. Now, you could say that the film's biggest failure is not having enough action sequences. There really is only kind of like two fights, really, like two main encounters. Sammo fights these two mini thugs, and then he have the big finale fight at the end. Now, I wasn't expecting a lot of action, so I was kind of fine with this. But to me, the biggest film's failure is not having any emotional content.
We need emotional content.
You don't get a chance to know the little girl that much, and there's really no detailed explanation of how she met with Sammo and, why she even really likes him besides the fact that he feeds her. And to be honest, I kind of found her to be a little annoying. I mean, I was not impressed with her performance.
I'm not impressed by your performance.
I have seen better acting performances from child actors. So really, the only reason you should care about the little girl is the fact that she's a little girl and she's got an asshole of a dad. That's really it. I think the film's narrative would have benefited a lot more if they threw in some flashbacks or something, Give us a little bit more backstory than she's just hungry and likes to eat. And the perfect example of me being annoyed happens right after Andy Lau's character is killed by the Chinese mob. So Sammo assumes that now the gang has kidnapped the daughter. He shows up, whoops ass, and doesn't find her. And after that, he kind of has this emotional breakdown, and he starts bawling, he starts crying, and his landlady, who has a crush on him in the movie, shows up, she finds him, and she goes, what's wrong, what's the matter? And Sammo goes, I lost my granddaughter. And he starts bawling, he starts crying, and that was really the only time, due to Sammo Hung's performance, that the heartstring was pulled and it was yanked a little bit. So after that, he goes to the police station, he wants to report what happened, but he keeps forgetting because of his dementia. So since he can't remember at the moment, he decides to go back home and he ends up falling asleep, and the landlady's in his house, and she really likes him, and she starts cooking for him and whatnot. So then she goes outside and she sees the little girl, the Cherry Lee character, she sees the little girl up the street. And she ends up running over to the little girl, and she looks down, she's like, where have you been? We've been scared to death, where have you been? And the little girl says, I've been at my friend's house making a phone call. Really? Really? Okay. All right, Sammo Hung out there, risking his life, fighting to the death, okay? Fighting two different types of gangs. Yeah, and you were just out fucking hashtagging, you're out fucking tweeting and shit. Okay, sure. Okay, movie. And now for the badass. So again, like I was saying earlier, I wasn't really expecting a lot of action until the end of the film, which is what we got. And it's okay, it's alright. You get some fun X-ray, bone-breaking moments. Some pretty decent, solid knife stabbing action. I think Sammo's age might be creeping up on him. I mean, the guy's in his 60s, man. I mean, for a guy who's in his 60s, Sammo still moves well, but I've just seen better filmed and better edited fight sequences from him in the past. The worst for me, though, was after this big finale fight, he ends up fighting members of the Russian gang. And they use that stupid motion blur effect, man. I've always hated that. I've never once liked that stupid fucking motion blur effect. So that pretty much took any enjoyment out of that fight sequence. So overall, this film is not the worst thing out there. And it is possible that if you watch it, that you could find some enjoyment out of it. It's possible. But I say don't even waste your time and watch The Man from Nowhere instead. So I give The Bodyguard 2.7 out of 5 ninja stars. That's it for today's episode of The Movie Dojo. If you have seen The Bodyguard, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. And as always, thanks again for watching. You guys rock. I'll see you next time.
Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe.